The conference, today they're doing Day of Hope and Compassion. And I have a little story. It says, a young disciple came to ask his master, "Master, what is compassion?" The master explained. An old man was begging at the corner of a busy street. First, an old lady passed by him and was frustrated by the beggar's poverty, gave him one gold coin. Then a merchant noticed that a small group of men were talking about him, gave him 5 coins to the beggar, quickly left while walking with his head held high and having a haughty smile. Then later a boy who went to collect flowers for his mom passed by the beggar, smiled to him, and gave him a flower. The master asked his disciple, "Which one of them do you think felt more compassionate toward the beggar?" "The merchant did," replied the boy. The master smiled and continued. The merchant acted out of pride, the old lady out of pity. However, the boy felt real compassion. Compassion is a far greater and nobler thing than pity. Pity has its roots in fear and a sense of superiority, sometimes even a smug feeling, "I'm glad it's not me." When your fear touches someone's pain, it becomes pity. When your love touches someone's pain, it becomes compassion. Day of Hope and Compassion. We have set aside the weekend of April 13th and 14th to celebrate the fact that the Adventists are the people of hope and compassion. During this weekend, we would love to see each one of our church members engage in some type of mission outreach in our community. And I'm going to show you 2 stories of 2 average people and you'll see the difference in the stories. And I think everybody's heard about the Secret Santa of Kansas City. Spent more than 30 years spreading holiday cheer to those who least expect it. I give folks who need a little lift of the holiday magic to believe in. I've been on the rock bottom myself. 30 years ago, I was out of work, salesman, living in my car in Houston, Mississippi. I'll never forget the diner owner who gave me $20 for a good breakfast and a tank of gas to go out of town. I thought of how the diner owner's kindness gave me a second chance. And a light bulb went off in my head and says, how can I repay him? So that's when the Secret Santa got the idea of giving away money. The first time he gave $400 in $20 bills to homeless people, to people he saw randomly. The look on the folks' eyes as they melt in disbelief with joy and thrill of getting the money and someone taking time to think of them. Not long before Secret Santa passed away in 2007, he returned to Houston to surprise the diner owner who started it all. At the time, that $20 seemed like $10,000 to Secret Santa. So that's how much he gave. He gave the diner $10,000. And by that time, this elderly man and his ailing wife really needed that money. That's how we can help people. Just by just thinking of people in different ways. Another woman, she moved into a Brea home in 1991. When she got there, she noticed that boys on the corner was with baseball bats. Her family didn't know what they got themselves into. So she had a neighborhood watch group. The very next morning after the first meeting, she woke up to a spray-painted truck. Don't finger us. Keep your mouth shut. She's like, oh my, what have we just got ourselves into? But instead, she looked around, she thought out of the box. She says, I'm going to do something about this. She started out of her garage, and she was a designer. She wasn't an educator. she started a K through 12 tutoring program. She turned her garage into a complete school with computers, books, banners for kids that made their honor roll could put their name on. We started offering homework help after school. And from that, 2 years later, literally transformed her neighborhood within 2 years. Academic scores went up and the crime went down. Altogether, they serve about 200 people just by her compassion toward the community that she was very scared of. Compassion is an action word. Love is an action word. And I'm going to have 3 volunteers. And what I'm saying is, I think our church I don't need to preach to the choir here. I think you guys, I hear stories as community service of each individual. They don't even realize they're telling me these stories of how they prayed with somebody, how they walked around a park twice to get the nerve to say hello to this person that needed a little help. It's amazing the different stories I hear within this church. But I want to just show you how compassion works and how we can let God's light shine. So Anita's going to help. And she's going to represent the person that saw somebody that needed a little help. Brad, he's going to represent. Right here, Anita. Yes. So Anita's going to represent anything that we want to do at the grocery store, saying hi to those. Because I work in the grocery stores. Sometimes people just talk to you because they want to be listened to. They want to be heard. A smile means more than anything to them. Or even 5 seconds of just listening to their story that you've heard 3 or 4 times every time you go down the meal department. And they just thrill. They're like, thank you. I'm like, and you pretty much can end it for them. But you're like, okay, but you take your time to do it. And if Lord impresses you to bake some extra cookies, give it to your neighbor. I have eggs. And my neighbor, I called him over, and he's like, what? Hi, how are you doing? And I never talked to him because I'm like, business. I'm going to work. I'm coming home. And I stopped and gave him eggs. He's like, oh my gosh, thank you. And it was just that little act of kindness meant the world to him. His face showed it. So Anita's going to act like she helped Brad for whatever reason it might be. And then Brad, like the person that was down and out, he turned around and he said, I remember when I was how I felt when someone said hi to me because I was sad or I was financially broken. He helped me. And then in return, I do the same thing to Anita. And because of that, the light shines. I love this thing.